Well, hello, everyone. We're going to wait just a few minutes while we get everyone logged in, and then we'll get started. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. It's beautiful here in Atlanta, Georgia, so I hope you guys are enjoying a gorgeous fall day as well. And this is called filling in until we get started, till we get everybody in. Okay, so we'll get started in just a minute. I am going to Okay, good. So everyone, welcome. Happy Friday. Thanks so much for joining us today. I have my colleagues with me. Michael Werner, Dean of Post-Secondary Planning at Mounds View Public Schools in Shoreview, Minnesota. He's way up there. Fairley Patton, who is Director of Educational Partnerships in Asheville at the, I'm going to mispronounce that, Buncombe Technical College? Buncombe Technical College in Asheville, I'm sorry. And Beth Koruna, who is the College Credit Plus Professional Learning Coordinator, wow, what a long title, at Columbus State Community College in Columbus, Ohio. And last but not least is Joy Keene, who is the high school teacher and an adjunct faculty member at T.C. Robinson High School in Asheville as well. I'm Dianne Barker, and I am the Director of State Engagement for the National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, which we lovingly call NACEP. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started jumping right in. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can you see the PowerPoint? Yeah, okay, great.
Yes.
Good. I'm trying to fix it so I can see it now. Okay. So, okay, are you on the intro slide? Because I cannot, I can't see it.
Dianne, we're on the first slide.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so let's jump right in. Thank you so much, Michael. So NACEP, let me just tell you a little bit about NACEP, and we'll do some level setting as far as titles are concerned. So of course, the title of this is to do with concurrent enrollment, but across the country, there are so many different titles for college and high school when high school students take dual enrollment classes in the high school. NACEP is the only national organization that supports programming, practitioners, and policies in this whole dual enrollment world. So we've been around since, oh my gosh, 1999, when a group of practitioners such as yourself came together and decided to do some quality work, quality advancement work to ensure that those students who are taking college classes in high school had the same rigor as if they were taking on the college campus. So NACEP is supported through a national board. We have a 16-member board of directors. We have 4 commissioner staffs, and we have staff and volunteers. We are a member-supported, member-serving organization. So a little bit more about dual enrollment. So I mentioned that, college and high school is known by several different terms. Well, dual enrollment is defined as any college and high school course, or anytime a student is in high school and takes a college course. That is like the umbrella title. Concurrent enrollment is a subset of that, which means that a student is a high school student who stays in the high school and takes their classes taught by a credentialed high school teacher. When I say credentialed, meaning that high school teacher has to meet the same rigor of qualifications that a college instructor or faculty or professor would have to. So that's kind of what we mean when we say concurrent enrollment. It is not credit by exam such as AP or IB. It is strictly a college and high school program that is taught by a high school instructor who is qualified to teach it. NACEP also is the only organization that sets quality standards and programs. We have an accreditation program that colleges may choose to go through. It is a 2-year rigorous program to become accredited in several areas. Now, with that said, some programs choose not to go through the entire accreditation process, but they do use our quality standards, which right now 119 programs are accredited. We have 28 programs in the cycle for this year looking for accreditation or reaccreditation. And we also have 25 programs that 25 states across the country that either use our program quality standards as incentives or as quality standards that they expect their programs to meet. And no, I am so sorry. For some reason now okay, it's jumping ahead. Okay, go ahead to the next. Are you controlling it, Victoria?
Yes, right now.
Okay, all right, cool. I will stop sharing. I'm sorry, y'all, for the technical glitch. So with that, let me go ahead and turn it over to, let's start with Mike. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about the program and how it works in Minnesota and how, what's the funding mechanism for dual and concurrent enrollment?
Certainly. Thank you all for joining us today. In Minnesota, Minnesota State Statute 124D09 outlines all of the various post-secondary enrollment options that are available to students and families in Minnesota. Yeah, of those, concurrent enrollment is one of them, growing in popularity, close second behind the actual post-secondary enrollment options where students leave our high school buildings and go to a participating college or university, that they do have to provide their own transportation, which is a limitation, as we know, for many students and families. In Minnesota, all of the models of PSER are provided free of charge to students and families. That covers books and fees and supply costs that are required for courses. Yeah, for concurrent enrollment, which is what we're focusing on today, school districts pay a higher education partner a maximum of $3,000 per course offered at the high school, regardless of the enrollment number. And that is a statewide established fee, and that's to avoid school districts to bargain shopping for various partners, but making sure that it's standardized across the state. So that includes urban, suburban, and rural portions of our state in Minnesota. Of note, all PSEO enrollments count towards the higher education partners overall enrollment, and so some states do not require or do not count PSEO or high school students in their enrollment model. Here we do. As part of the overall funding allocation model for the state, enrollment is one of the largest factors in that. Therefore, it is, in my opinion, very worthwhile for higher education partners to seek out districts who are ready to perform this work, not only for options to increase students' access to higher education, but also in many ways to fund unique opportunities and models and programming for high school students and their own campus students. Unique features include, we're one of the 25 states that Dianne mentioned earlier that requires states or all programs to adopt and implement the NACEP program standards. And so that needs to be submitted to the state of Minnesota each annually, proof of completion of the NACEP accreditation process. And then our concurrent enrollment instructor qualifications are identical to those required by our accrediting body in Minnesota, which is the Higher Learning Commission. Some of the presenters here are in SACS, so there's a couple of other accrediting bodies represented here. And then a point of pride in Minnesota is that concurrent enrollment is widespread in the state of Minnesota. It's prevalent in our urban settings. Suburban, which we are about 10 minutes from both downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul, the twin cities of Minnesota, and in rural Minnesota, which a bulk of the state is considered rural.
Okay, thanks so much, Michael. I appreciate that. That's really interesting. The PSEO I know has been very successful in dual enrollment in Minnesota. So I'm going to turn it over to Fairley. Let's get a little bit closer to home and talk about North Carolina. Fairley, can you tell us a little bit about how concurrent enrollment is implemented there and what's the funding mechanism?
Absolutely. So our dual enrollment model is called Career and College Promise. This was established based on our General Assembly Session Law 2011-145, or the Appropriations Act of 2011. And it allows students to concurrently enroll in community college classes while still in high school in a variety of ways. And there are three primary areas: cooperative innovative high schools, or CIHS. These are known as early colleges. There are also college transfer and career and technical education pathway options for students. The early college model allows students to enroll in the 9th grade all the way through, in some cases, the 13th grade, and they're embedded in college classes as part of their high school curriculum throughout. The college transfer and career and technical education pathways are largely restricted to juniors and seniors, and these are highly structured pathways intended for students to streamline their transfer into a university or college in the state of North Carolina, or to earn a credential or industry recognized degree, diploma, or certificate, so that they can get those entry level job opportunities. So it really is a great opportunity for students. Our funding structure for the community college is based on FTE, or full-time equivalency. We're funded through the state for support of this program. The high schools also earn what's called ADM, or average daily membership, but this is a tuition-free opportunity for students, so it is completely funded through the state in terms of the tuition and fees. Textbooks are not included, so students do have to pay for those for any of those schools that are not cooperative innovative high schools. Some of the key features: obviously it reduces time to degree completion, and as well as seamless transfer to our UNC system schools, which is really a highlight for our students. It also allows students to earn AP credits in a lot of areas, particularly any of the college transfer pathway tracks. There's also honors level weight attached to many of our career and technical education programs. And it also allows students to earn dual credit towards high school graduation requirements, even those core graduation areas like English and math. And of course, can save families thousands of dollars in tuition expenses. And I've just kind of given an estimate there based on our public university system. It will save them even more if they're planning on going to a private school in the state. And we've seen a pretty dramatic increase in enrollment at AB Tech in dual enrollment, about 107% increase over the past 6 years, which also translates to about 177% increase in FTE. So we really have seen that students are taking advantage of this, and through partnerships with schools like TC Robertson, and Joy's going to talk a little bit about that, we really are seeing students take advantage of more of these class opportunities. So they really are saving that time and money towards their degree completion. Our accrediting body is the Southern Association of Colleges, so SAC-COC. So that is the accrediting body that we follow. So that's just a few highlights of the programs in North Carolina.
Well, thanks so much, Fairley. I appreciate that. And Beth, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us what's going on in Ohio.
Well, in Ohio, dual enrollment is called College Credit Plus, and we often shorten that to CCP. And with Columbus State Community College, we are the largest provider of dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment classes in the state. We are in over 40 districts and have worked with 130 different schools in Ohio. College Credit Plus was legislated starting in the 2015-2016 school year, which opened up dual enrollment to students from 7th grade to 12th grade. I should note that 7th graders, because people say 7th grade, 7th graders make up less than 1% of the students who are actually taking dual enrollment in Ohio. Most of the students are juniors and seniors in high school. Our accrediting body is the Higher Learning Commission, the same as Michael said. One of the things, and I think Fairley mentioned this too, is that this college credit that students earn is guaranteed to transfer to any other public Ohio college. And again, that's a really great advantage for students. Students do not pay for the classes, nor do they pay for textbooks. Taxpayer funds are redirected from the secondary public schools that pay for those things for students. And just to kind of give a bigger bird's eye picture, this is from 2019 and 20. Almost 77,000 students in Ohio took dual enrollment classes, and an estimated savings to those families and their students of $155 million. So we think that's a pretty good thing for students. And just talking about who teaches these courses, about 40% of the courses are taught by credentialed high school adjunct teachers. And I guess that's an overview of Ohio.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I appreciate that, Beth. That is amazing. The savings of $155 million is nothing to sneeze at. That's amazing. So I'm going to turn this over to Joy now, who is our high school teacher, who is also an adjunct faculty. She's an English teacher and at TC Robinson High School. And Joy, tell us a little bit about what is it like to teach both high school and college at the same time?
Sure, I'm glad to. I have found it to be really unique and kind of refreshing and a lot of fun. Before I taught the AB Tech English classes, I was teaching the AP Language and Composition class here at Robertson. So I was already kind of geared toward a lot of what I am still doing today with the AB Tech classes. I would say that when I was approached, it was, I think, a good time for me because I had been doing AP language for a long time. And so this felt kind of fresh and new, but also still something I could use what I'd done before to a degree, some overlap, which was great. At Robertson, we have maybe 3 or 4 now high school teachers teaching AB Tech classes on campus. And we have a couple of other AB Tech classes that are taught by AB Tech faculty that come to the campus. And then we have a large number of students who are in our distance learning lab doing various AB Tech classes at various times of the day. So there's multiple ways that students can access the courses. I think the unique thing about people like me who are teaching it in the classroom, who are high school teachers, as well as instructors for AB Tech, I think we have, a unique view because we know the high school students so well already, that we are able to provide some supports that I think help them in ways to be even maybe more successful in their AB Tech classes. They come to my class every day of the week, which wouldn't necessarily be the same if they were on AB Tech's campus. I try and kind of keep it college-like by embedding work days. So, if it's typically a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class on AB Tech's campus, I'll try and make portions of class at least 2 days a week time for them to work, where I'm not direct instructing or we're peer working on writing or things like that, to give them some of that college flexibility since I can't let them out of the building in terms of class. But I also think they benefit very much by seeing me face to face every day for the 16 weeks that we're together. I guess too, I would say one of the things that has been most helpful for me has been the support of Fairley on the kind of administrative side, and then very much my department chair at AB Tech, Heather Vaughn. She has been, I get the same emails that every instructor at AB Tech gets, and they are full of all the things I need to know. And there are a few hurdles. For example, at Robertson, we use Canvas and Google Classroom as our LMS systems, whereas AB Tech is Moodle based. And there are times that I need some help with Moodle because I haven't been as familiar with that, especially when I first started. And the AB Tech system, not just Heather, but also the technology side of things, they have been very helpful when I've had issues with that. Making sure you know how to handle census attendance on the AB Tech side, as well as attendance on your high school side. There's, I think, extra layers of things sometimes you have to be prepared for when you're a high school instructor. But my chair has been great, so I've never had a problem in terms of not knowing what I needed to do. We do provide in the face-to-face AB Tech classes on our campus, we do provide our textbooks. We're able to because AB Tech provides us some money to do that. And so we do have the textbooks for students. They don't have to pay for those. For some of our classes, they're electronic or e-textbook kind of things where they have to renew every single year. So that's been really helpful to have materials in their hands. But in general, it has really just been a very enriching and rewarding experience. And I'll say personally, my son is a senior this year, and he is here at Robertson. And so it's been interesting to see him tackle honors classes, AP classes, and AB Tech classes, and to kind of see the benefits there. If there were a downside, I would say that our AP classes in the areas where we have face-to-face AB Tech being taught, the AP numbers have gone down significantly, because I think students and their parents see the value of the difference between an AP test on one day that may or may not get you credit at the university you're trying to get to, versus a grade of a C or higher in my English 111 class that's guaranteed credit at a state-supported school. So I think our parents and students are really waking up to the value that the community college and high school crossover, the dual enrollment, that the fact that that is really very helpful to them.
Joy, I couldn't have said it better myself. That is awesome. And I love the idea that your students aren't missing anything, that you're trying to give them that college feel even on a high school campus. That is really amazing. So let me kind of move on a little bit and ask, and this is for anybody, tell us about, how you get started as being a teacher and an adjunct. How does the district support students who are both adjunct instructors and high school teachers? Whoever wants to jump in.
I can jump in.
Thanks, Fairley.
AB Tech has always taken the approach that we want to be a good partner with our high schools. Joy mentioned that, one of the downsides is that AP enrollment can go down when more dual enrollment opportunities are available. So we certainly don't ever want the high schools to feel like, we're coming in and taking over the curriculum. So, we have conversations with our principals and administrators at the local education agencies to find out what the interest is. And if there is an interest in that, then we present the opportunity. Here are the classes that would work for your curriculum. Here are the credentialing requirements for your faculty. And then we highly suggest that they reach out to their faculty members to see if there is any interest. And I think particularly at TC Robertson, that's exactly what happened. Mr. Allison, who's the principal there, sent out an email saying, hey, we have this opportunity, who's interested? And Joy was one of the first to hop right up and say, I'm interested, let's do this. And it's that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of interest that really makes this successful. Because if it's forced on a faculty member to teach, they're really not going to be that engaged. But when someone chooses to be a part of this, that's really how this works best. So we work with our department chairs to make sure that the high school faculty members are credentialed, that they are based on our accrediting body eligible to teach our classes. And then we work with that faculty member to support them to make sure that they are able to access Moodle, that they're able to access AB Tech email, and that they feel supported in teaching their classes, that they have the content that they need, that they have the textbook information that they need. And then that's a continuous thing. As Joy mentioned, we involve our faculty members in every email that's sent out to the department from the department that they're in, they get. They're also invited to any kind of departmental meetings that we have, any kind of in-service training that we have at the beginning of the semester and mid-year as well. So we really rely on them, though. They are the experts in their classroom. They know that school. They know their student body, and really that's why it works the best, because they're embedded there already. They know how it works, but they're also just incredible faculty members. Heather Vaughn, that Joy mentioned, is the chair of our English department, and she cannot brag on Joy enough, as well as all of our other English faculty members who are teaching that are what we call third-party adjuncts. Really, they do a fantastic job, and we're so excited for this partnership.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Fairley. Michael, and I'm going to ask this question of Michael and of Beth, how does the district support high school teachers who are adjunct faculty at the same time? And Beth, how did the community colleges in your area work with the districts to ensure that these teachers are supported?
Early on in our partnership with our local higher education agency, so Anoka Ramsey Community College in this case, we worked closely with them to identify all of the additional requirements that might be placed on them to make sure that we're very clear as to what else we might be asking of a high school partner teacher who is going to teach a concurrent enrollment course. And that then led to a lot of discussions about this may not be seniority based. And in some cases that meant, somebody who's been teaching in, like in Joy's case, AP language and composition isn't necessarily going to be the logical choice to move to teach an Anoka Ramsey English college writing course, for instance. And so once we gained a much better understanding of the additional or different requirements and different kind of professional expectations that we had, we could then start working closely with different individuals who were either nominated clearly from the principal based on his or her understanding of the teaching and capabilities of that, but then also working with the union to identify whether or not some of those teachers could receive some additional funding, or if being released from a district mandated professional development day to go and use that time on the community college campus for some of the required PD dates as well. So it's a very comprehensive approach. I know some of the details we'll get into hopefully later are a little, I can provide some more details about some of those things about meeting the credentialing requirements and things. But I think having a real understanding, and I think as a former teacher myself, if an administrator were to come in and say, we've talked to a number of people in your department, with the district, and you've been, your name's come up as a possible teacher, I want you to be really clear about what some additional expectations would be. I think that would be both flattering, as well as just, kind of a piece of doing due diligence that you're not given, your same course load and it's 3 college level courses with the additional pieces of choice at learning and new learning management system, or compiling all sorts of paperwork that then needs to be submitted as well. So that's been really helpful as well. And then since we're in really year 10 of our comprehensive program, it's really become enculturated in our buildings. And so it's also served as a really great teacher requirement tool, or a teacher recruitment tool.
Okay, thank you. Beth, do you want to
Yeah,
jump in here?
Yeah, I think kind of really echoing what Fairley and Michael are saying, I do think that the support for teachers really begins at the beginning. We really are all about kind of connection and relationship right from the start. We have an orientation that we moved to doing online, obviously because of COVID. And what we discovered was it was actually a lot more convenient for high school teachers to do it online. One of the things I think we've learned in this whole process is, and Joy can probably speak to this, is how long and inflexible a high school teacher's schedule is during the day, and really trying to kind of meet teachers where they are at. And also just, I think, having, I guess what I would call kind of a collaborative ethos, that we approach this definitely as a partnership. I think, if you look historically at college and high school collaborations, they fail when college people come in from on high and try to dictate all the norms. And we really try to make sure that the expertise, like Fairley was saying, of the teachers in the buildings who know those students, who know that district, that expertise is really respected. We also have a lot of professional learning opportunities for teachers throughout the year. We have workshops, we have some discipline specific workshops, which are really nice because people can kind of get to know each other. So again, I think we really just kind of try to approach it from a very collaborative standpoint in supporting teachers.
Thank you, Beth. And I'm glad you mentioned professional development. One of the national standards that NACEP is really high on is making sure that those instructors who are high school teachers also get the same professional development that their counterparts do who teach on the college campus. I think it's extremely important that they're onboarded in the same manner, that they have this access to the same training as Joy mentioned, the same training on software, on the pedagogy of the college, et cetera. It's critical. And that is one of our quality standards that those colleges who are NACEP accredited must meet. So let's talk about credentialing for just a second. I know we're running short on time and we've got a lot of stuff we want to cover. So I think there are at least two different regional accreditation bodies represented here. So if you guys don't mind telling us a little bit about what the accreditation process, how does a high school teacher, what do they need to do to become a college instructor as well?
I can take that. Beth and I are both in the states within the Higher Learning Commission, so the HLC, and the Higher Learning Commission requires that all concurrent enrollment instructors have the same requirements as full-time faculty on a college campus. And in the Higher Learning Commission's definition of that, it is a master's degree in field. So if you're teaching biology, you would have a master's degree in biology, or a master's degree plus 18 graduate level discipline specific credits. So then in the same biology example, that would be 18 graduate level biology courses. And this has been a challenge, as it has been, I think, nationwide, as more states are seeing massive increases. Fairley had some phenomenal increased numbers, and with that becomes, of course, more attention, more understanding of what this is, and then in some cases some pushback. And so Minnesota has been fortunate. The state legislature did earmark $3 million for the development of graduate level courses at our 7 state public universities. And that then also left money for high school partner teachers to take advantage of that. And so in many cases, they could take what were called 18 online courses to earn and move forward through the credentialing process. There was also a few stops and starts where Mountain View Public Schools was actually tabbed to get $2 million through our local legislators to enhance our ability to pay for high school partner teachers to get their credentialing requirements paid for in full. But the way the legislation works here is that it was a non-budget year. And so they usually pass an omnibus bill, but time ran out. And when time runs out during the legislative session in a non-legislative year, nothing then gets forwarded on. So we lost an incredible amount of money that would have solved our credentialing puzzle, which is comprehensive given the massive amounts of enrollments we have.
Yeah. Beth, you want to talk about SACs at all?
Yeah, I'm also HLC.
HLC. Oh, okay. Fairley, are you
Fairley,
SACs?
if you want to,
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I can talk about SACs. Similar in some ways for our college transfer programs in particular. So if a student's going to be taking a class that transfers on to a 4-year college or university, they would be required to have a master's degree in the subject area or a master's degree with 18 graduate level hours in the subject area. SAC COC can get a little bit picky on those particular classes. So for example, if they have secondary education or education in the title of the class, that cannot count as those 18 graduate level hours. If they have a master's degree in math education, for example, that does not count. So they can be very specific about the criteria with that. But we also have faculty at the high schools teaching in our career and technical education programs as well. Those do not require master's level degrees because in large part, those courses do not transfer to the 4-year institutions or are not designed to transfer. In those cases, generally a bachelor's degree in the subject area, depending on the level that they're teaching. So if they're teaching in an associate's degree level, a bachelor's degree is required. If they're teaching at the certificate level, then at least a diploma. So at least one level up in terms of credentialing they would have to have, but very similar in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely, Fairly. And I come from a SACS institution as well. And if you want to teach something like auto, you have to be a master's level, that kind of thing, have certain ASCs. So it is very specific, but that is information that you can definitely get from your local college or technical college. Um, so let's move on from credentialing. There is a question about FTE and who keeps it. So I know here in Georgia, the FTE stays with the high school and it also goes with the college. We're blessed that way. It wasn't always that way. We had legislation that changed it for a minute, and then when enrollment kind of sagged a little bit, it went back. So here in Georgia, everybody keeps their FTEs. What about in North Carolina? Does
It's the same in North Carolina. It's just called something slightly different. So ours is FTE at the college level, and it's ADM at the high school, which is average daily membership.
Okay, that's exactly the question. Great. Thanks so much, Fairly. So let me ask this question. What are the advantages of this model? And if someone wanted to begin this work, how would they go about doing that? And if I could get that from, start with Joy and then get that from each one of you, that would be awesome.
I mean, I think in North Carolina, it's a bit of a challenge because at this moment, I don't think our state legislature is funding teachers or paying teachers for having a master's degree at this moment. I'm lucky that when I started, they were, although everybody thought it was crazy when I was getting my master's degree, that I was getting a master's degree in straight English. Everybody could understand why I wasn't doing an English education. And I wanted to do straight English. And then lo and behold, this opportunity came up and I realized it was perfect. So I didn't know back then I was doing it for this reason. But I think for us, there's some challenge because we don't have incentives to do the master's degree program. And so I think that's a place to start. Is to make that easier. But then I also think it's a whole lot about connection and collaboration between the high schools and the county offices and the local community colleges. I think here in North Carolina, it feels relatively new, but my niece in Texas graduated with enough credits to start her 4-year degree as a sophomore. And so I think it feels like it's moving like a wave, and that some of that is knowing that it exists and being able to implement it and discuss it. And I think a lot of that for our school is tied to Nathan Allison, our principal, who knew already some things and was able to bring it here in an easy way.
That administration is extremely important. It's not mandated here in Georgia, nor is it funded here for teacher credentialing, but we did have one principal who is now the superintendent of a particular rural school district here in Georgia, who, because the technical college paid for that teacher's time to teach both the high school and the college, we paid the high school. He used the funding to go into a pot, and those funds went to the teachers so that those who were interested in extending their education and becoming eligible to teach dual enrollment, he would pay for them to go using those funds to go back to school. So there are ways to get around it if the state is not incentivizing that. What about in North Carolina, Fairley?
I echo a lot of what Joy said. I think part of the challenge is that the state did take away that incentive. I think one of the ways that high schools and community colleges can work together in this regard, and it's something we're definitely considering, although haven't quite figured out how to do it, is getting two foundations together, the high school system foundation and the community college foundation office together, to see if we can find a way to help support faculty who are planning on teaching these classes and would like to get a master's degree or just need a couple more hours at the graduate level to teach. And so I think that's one way that we could support them. But truly, I think that there are several advantages. I almost see it as it's all advantages. There are challenges for sure, but for the students, it's just an incredible opportunity for them. And the collaboration is key in that. The partnership is key in that. The administrator, as you've mentioned, at the high school, their buy-in is important, but so is the faculty. And same thing at the community college. So I see this as a huge advantage for the community college and the high school system to continue that collaboration, to expand it, and to make this a successful opportunity for them, both entities, to share resources. Because as we know, everybody's budgets are shrinking. And this is an opportunity for us to maximize what we can do. And then, of course, for the community college, the advantage of having a credentialed high school faculty member teaching, and there are many, is that they're already there. They're already embedded. They know the high school, they know the students, they know the protocols, and they're creative and innovative and always looking for opportunities to do great things for their students. Not that our other faculty members aren't as well, but really they know the culture of their high school, and that is really crucial to making this a successful program.
Absolutely. Beth, Ohio has one of the oldest dual enrollment programs in the country. So how is it that you guys managed to have so many adjunct instructors or high school teachers teaching concurrent enrollment?
Well, I think it does get back to that partnership aspect of the school reaching out or us reaching out to the school and just having a lot of discussions about, what kind of credentialing is necessary. I've noticed recently that we have teachers who are maybe not quite credentialed, but then they'll talk to faculty at the community college and say, hey, here are the classes I'm planning on taking. Do these look like these would be the right thing? And I think that kind of reaching out to the specific discipline can be really, really helpful as well. And I just think you asked about challenges. We have had dual enrollment or PSEO for a long, long time. When it was legislated in 2015-16, it was like a very fast train coming out of the station, and it gained momentum very quickly. And sometimes when I think it starts like that, not again that was officially the start, but it was the start of College Credit Plus as it is in this incarnation. I think sometimes when it starts like that, some people maybe don't buy in to the idea of dual enrollment as much as you would hope they would. And it really is kind of fostering those relationships with our faculty at the college and with the faculty in the high school, to kind of remind everybody, hey, we're all on team student here. We all want student success. And we're all seeking the same goals in that way. And I feel like over the years, and I mean, I think I feel a little bit missional about the whole thing, that I want people to be able to see and experience what is so awesome about this. And I think over the years, I have seen folks who maybe didn't have that buy-in initially, either teach students themselves or work with faculty in the high school who are teaching students, and they start to see what's actually happening for students. And that buy-in gets more and more. And so I think that is a challenge, but I think it's one that, like Fairley was saying, all the advantages, I think once people start seeing all those advantages, that it becomes less of a problem. And frankly, for the community college, this is the first semester that dual enrollment did not grow. We had a little bit of shrinkage, I think, due to COVID, and just lots of different life circumstances. But dual enrollment has grown while other enrollment has not necessarily grown. And so, that is a good thing for the community college. And certainly it's a good thing for the students, whether they take it in the high school or they come to the college or whatever it is.
There's a question in the chat, and let me just stop here and say, please, we're inviting you to, with our last 7 minutes, to go ahead and definitely drop your questions in the chat box. But, and this is for anyone who wants to answer, who is the supervisor for the instructor in terms of overseeing issues that may come up with the instruction, given who pays the salary for the instructor? Any issues about boundaries?
So for AB Tech in particular, but I know in North Carolina, because of our accrediting requirements, the supervisor has to be the academic department chair. In the end, the college is responsible for assuring that the content that's being taught at the high school, whether it's an adjunct instructor teaching it or a high school partner teaching it, is teaching the same thing, and that the content is the same. We generally have not had an issue with that, but obviously, it is a little bit of a fine line, because in addition to Joy having Heather Vaughn as her supervisor at the college, she also has Tara Lawther and Nathan Allison who are supervising her as well. But that, to me, is where the collaboration comes in. If you have a strong partnership with your administration, there are no issues. It can get a little sticky sometimes, but you can work through them. In the end, I believe our high school partners have understood that because of our accrediting requirements, when the college class is going on, it's the college's responsibility. And so it falls to that supervisor. And we are reimbursing the school for that time for the instructor. So technically, during that period that Joy is teaching, we're paying the high school for her instruction. So we're responsible in that way.
Absolutely. And it's the exact same way here in Georgia. There's another question. Do you ever start out with an adjunct faculty and get them hired at the high school? And I can tell you, when I was at the community college here in Georgia, I lost some really good adjunct instructors to become high school teachers. But again, it's the flip side. They have to meet the requirements of the high school. What about you guys? Have you had that experience happen?
We have had that happen a few times, yeah. Which has been great for those folks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say we've actually had the opposite, where we've had a number of high school partner teachers who have retired or chosen to stop teaching at the high schools, but have wanted to continue teaching the courses as like a true adjunct at one of the community colleges. And the nice thing is that in Minnesota, there's a centralized credentialing platform. So teachers have to submit all of their documentation. And once they receive that, all of the different community colleges can view that and then see them as qualified. And so in Minnesota, there's a very big cabin culture. So a lot of people like to go to their cabins in northern Minnesota on the various lakes and enjoy the wilderness. And so a number of teachers have partly retired, moved up to their cabins in the summer and into the fall, and taught for the summer semester and the fall semester as an adjunct to stay engaged and work in that way. And conversely, we've also had several partner teachers, which I wrote in the chat, who were already adjuncts at some of the community colleges. And so they've served as a critical piece to understanding some of the minutia that I'm sure Joy's been involved in about, well, your syllabus says this, but ours has to say this. And serves as kind of the voice of reason and rationale when some of that can get a little tight, as Fairley had recommended or had mentioned that sometimes things are more of, you get two dedicated professionals in a room and they start kind of going back and forth about some very small nitpicky things, when in reality, all of us want them to talk about pedagogy and talk about the actual class and how students are learning. And that's where I think some of the foundations of having a clear understanding of who is going to be overseeing what, and then also removing some of that stuff and saying, all right, here are our expectations, let's go from there, has really, made some awesome relationships where I know there are a number of faculty liaisons who can't wait to get into the high school classrooms because they choose lessons that they've had a hard time making better or really getting student understanding. So they'll be like, hey, Dianne, can I come in when you're teaching this? I need some better ideas. Can I come in when you're doing that? And then vice versa as well, of high school teachers asking and saying, Joy, when you're doing this, can I come in? I just need something different. And this is the best way for me to learn.
Well, we have got, I'm
can
sorry,
I just
Fairley,
echo one
yeah,
thing?
definitely.
Just wanted to echo one thing that Michael mentioned, having very clear parameters is really key. And what we've done at AB Tech with our partnering LEAs is develop a comprehensive MOU that covers, what is AB Tech going to supply and what is the school system going to supply?
Correct.
What does AB Tech have authority over? What does the high school have authority over? So that it is very clear to both partners what the expectations are.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time. That went so fast. Thank you so much. On the screen is the contact information for all of the presenters today. And I want to thank you so much. I think we could have gone on a whole lot longer than the 50 minutes we were allotted, but just to give you guys context, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer. And I apologize for not being able to get to those questions that you guys did put in, but please feel free to email any of us. And again, thanks so much for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.